All right, Mexico. So here we have a border that's pretty much sealed up under the Trump administration. That's their biggest policy victory. Crossings are down about 95% from year to year under Biden. Okay. But drug smuggling has not abated. In fact, about the same, 200,000 pounds from January, April 24, January, April 25. 200,000 pounds of narcotics seized at the southern border, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So if you seal the border up where people can't get over, how are the drugs coming over? So I asked my crack staff to find the best person to give us an analysis of that, and he is Michael Brown. Comes to us from Ashburn, Virginia, 32 years as a DEA special agent, and he's the host of the Opiate Matrix, a podcast. All right, so you can watch him on the podcast. So, Mr. Brown, what is the explanation if they seal up the border, migrants can't come over anymore, but the narcotics get through? And to a big extent, the same as under the Biden administration.
Yeah, Bill, thank you for having me on the show. What people don't realize is that on a daily basis, roughly 16,000 trucks, 100,000 personal vehicles, to include rail, come into this country every day. And the vast majority of those conveyances are carrying narcotics, which are then distributed across the country.
All right, let me stop you there. You say the majority of trucks coming from Mexico? The majority?
I would say a significant number of those conveyances. Right. And the cartels realize that it's a numbers game.
Don't we have technology to root that out? I mean, I know we have dogs down there, narcotic sniffing dogs, and I understand the big vehicles, you can hide this stuff a lot of different places. But isn't the technology advancing so that it can kind of stop this?
Well, they have the technology, but it's a numbers game. And the cartels know that there's no way Customs has the personnel to search, roughly hundreds of thousands of vehicles that are coming across the border every day. They use a term called shotgunning, where they realize one or two trucks may get stopped, but the majority of them carrying narcotics will not.
So, is there anything that can be done to stop this massive influx? And you correct me if I'm wrong, but up here in the Northeast, drugs like heroin and fentanyl and cocaine they cut them, but they're cheap. And these people are paying not a lot of money for these drugs on the street, which means they're plentiful, correct?
Correct. I mean, the narcotics coming across, when they come across at the time they reach street level distribution, as you said, it's very cheap, but right now it's an oversupply. The cartels are oversupplying fentanyl. It's so successful in its distribution.
How can the government then win this fight?
Well, I mean, America has to make a choice, Bill, and that choice is to either normalize and accept the fact that 80 to 100,000 Americans will die from fentanyl every year, or take the necessary steps to mitigate cross-border trafficking, which would affect the U.S. $5.3 trillion trade with Mexico.
All right, so you'd have to stop, and that would crush Mexico. Mexico would collapse if it couldn't send its products into the USA. So you destroy Mexico. But the Mexican government will not take on the cartels. I want to get your opinion on this. So Trump has offered Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, a co-venture to destroy the cartels using Mexican military and U.S. military. And Sheinbaum turned him down, even though the murder rate from the cartels in Mexico is the worst in the world. It's horrific. A couple of 100,000 people a year killed down there or disappeared. So when you heard that Sheinbaum isn't going to cooperate with Trump, trying to wipe out these cartels, how did you process that?
Well, I don't think Sheinbaum necessarily has the capability. I mean, we have to understand.
No, but Trump does. And he's got an executive order designating these cartels as terrorist groups. He can go in tomorrow with Navy SEALs or drones and blow the hell out of them.
Right. 5 cartels have been designated as foreign terrorist organizations. There are more than 20 plus cartels.
All right, but let's start with the 5, the Sinaloas and the big guys. Why wouldn't Sheinbaum cooperate in trying to destroy them?
The issue is those cartels generate between $50 billion a year in financial proceeds, which flow through the Mexican economy. If President Sheinbaum was to effectively neutralize the cartels, that would be devastating to the Mexican economy as well as the U.S. trade relationship. So she's in a very difficult position at this point in time.
So she's selling her country out to a criminal enterprise.
There is a symbiotic relationship between the cartels and Mexico. The problem is 50 years ago, Mexico took the money, and now they are embedded, they are entwined with the cartels, and that cash flow is critical to the Mexican economy.
Yeah, and it's killing hundreds of thousands of Americans, as you pointed out. So if ISIS killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, you think we'd allow that?
Yeah, I mean, it's killing people on both sides, right? Mexican violence is killing.
No. It's primarily killing people here. The cartels are killing people in Mexico, but there's not, the narcotics use in Mexico is on a rise, but nothing like here. So it's killing 100,000 Americans, let's use that number. And if any other group on earth killed 100,000 Americans a year, you know there'd be a war. We'd go and destroy them, right?
100%. I mean, 9/11, right? You can't get on an airplane.
Yeah, so why aren't we going in and see, if I'm Trump, and I talked about this to him eye to eye, personal, just me and him, I'd do it. Trump wiped out ISIS. He wiped them right off the face of the map. He could do it to the cartels, and it wouldn't even be hard. But Sheinbaum, I think you're right, puts, politics and her economy above human life. Give you the last word.
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult position for President Trump. If he was to commit troops to Mexico, we could be looking at another 20-year Afghanistan quagmire. And the American people are not ready.
Just hit and run. There's no quagmire. They don't have to put people occupying. He just blows the hell out of them. They'll get the message. These guys aren't brave guys. They're cowards. Once he whacks a few of them, the others will go, I got enough money in the bank. Anyway, Mr. Brown, I hope everybody watches your podcast, The Opioid Matrix. And we appreciate your time very much tonight. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.